And welcome to In Your Corner. Anytime, 1-833-IN-YOUR-CORNER to reach out, and inyourcorner.ca. Anybody want to guess what the email might be? help@inyourcorner.ca as well. John Scholes here, and welcome to the show. If the first time catching us, the show, you're going to be learning about disability law and how to look out for the little guy, which is you. It doesn't matter if you're 6'11" and 410 pounds, your disability insurer will still look at you as the little guy. And we are here to help you out. And to my right, your left, these two charming, handsome fellows, Sivan Tumarkin and James Fireman. Guys, you were here to educate and inform people about the world of disability law and insurance companies, and keep people informed and protected if they're ever in the situation, right? How are you guys doing?
We're doing very well, John.
Right.
John, I want to start off by saying that we've had an amazing reaction to the show thus far.
Yep.
Both from BC as well as from Ontario. People have really, they've listened, they've seen the show, and they've contacted us with their own stories.
Good.
Stories about battles they've had with insurance companies. And, one specific email comes to mind from a lady who said, I wish that I had seen your show a long time ago. Of course, we just started the show. Because what we do here, John, is we speak truth to power. We tell people what they can do when the insurance company cuts them off long-term disability, if the insurance company denies their claim. Our job here is to educate people and to dispel any myths out there about the fact that insurance companies can just do whatever they want. They can't do whatever they want. People have a lot more power than they think, and we are here, James and I, and we're going to be here every week to tell people how to fight back and how we can help them fight back.
Again, later on in the show, the top 3 reasons why you should not dispute and go after a denial from a disability insurer. James, I know you froth at the mouth when we get to this topic because you just keep telling people over and over again, claim denials, don't go after them, don't appeal, but we'll get to that later. We always like to start every show with a part of Week That Was, is something that's been happening at the firm, either in your desk, James, or yours, Sivan, and talk a little bit about it, right?
Yeah, John, let me tell you about a story. This is a story about a father of 4 young kids, and he contacted me about a year ago or so. And what happened was this. He's 51 years old. He's a mechanic. He's worked as a mechanic for the last 25 years or so. And unfortunately, he injured his back in a slip and fall. And in addition to the back injury that he suffered, he developed chronic pain, fibromyalgia, and a whole slew of other symptoms that have debilitating him, essentially made him unable to work. And what did he do? He had private insurance, long-term disability insurance. So we're not talking about workers' compensation or government insurance. We're talking about long-term disability insurance, for which he paid good money for. And he applies for that insurance, and he gets denied. The insurance company says, we simply don't see enough medical proof as they say, right, that you are disabled and are unable to work. This is despite the fact that he had a family doctor saying he can't work, a chronic pain specialist saying he can't work, and an orthopedic surgeon who was talking about potential surgery for his back. Despite all those reports, the insurance company says, we're not going to pay you a dime.
Wow.
What does he do? As many other people, when they get a denial letter, he appeals that decision. He appeals that decision. A few months later, he gets a response back. Guess what the response is, John?
Nothing.
Denied. Nothing.
Of course. Yep.
Exactly. We're not going to reconsider. Or we've reconsidered, and we don't think that you are disabled from working. Okay, what does he do again? Well, he gets invited to appeal again. So he appeals again. So now he's gone through 2 appeals. Almost a year has gone by. Nothing. No money's coming in. At that point, he hears about us. He contacts me. I look at all the paperwork. I look at the policy. I look at the denial letters. I look at the medical documents. And I tell him there's a case. I tell him the insurance company is completely wrong. And guess what, John? Within approximately 5 to 6 months of us not only getting retained, but starting a legal claim, none of that appeal nonsense,
yeah, right,
starting a legal claim, we settle with the insurance company, and we settle for 6 figures. And again, this is a gentleman that all his life he's worked, has a legitimate injury, has doctors saying that he cannot work. Insurance company says, we're going to give you nothing. We get involved, and within about half a year, we get the case resolved. And this is so similar to so many other cases that we have at the firm, and that's what people need to take from this. You have rights. You can enforce those rights. We can help you enforce those rights. Don't go through the appeals process. We're going to talk about appeals. Don't simply walk away from money that is rightfully owed to you, especially when you are the one who's paid for those premiums, or sometimes you have insurance through the employer. Yep. But the point is, these policies are there to give you peace of mind. If the insurance company doesn't pony up the money that they owe you, You have the tools, we have the power to help you get that money.
Again, 1-833 in your corner to reach out and talk to Sivan or James, or a member of their outstanding team. James, how many times will they go back and forth with these appeals, and is it ever to a point where you've run out of time appealing?
That's the whole purpose of it. They want to drag it out as long as possible. So in most cases, they're going to let you appeal 3, 4, 5 times even. I've seen that. All they want to do is drag it out, because if it takes more than 2 years after that first denial, you can't bring a legal claim anymore. And that's what they're looking for. People don't understand that their only obligation in order to recover long-term disability benefits is to make the first application. Once they've made that application, if they're denied, they're not required to do any appeal, and doing the appeal is just going to make it longer. It's going to take a lot longer to get to a recovery. Once you've made that application, if you're denied, you want to bring a legal claim as soon as you can. The sooner you bring the legal claim, the sooner it gets resolved.
So that 2-year period, that window you have, if you appeal, it doesn't reset the clock?
No, not at all.
Oh.
As soon as they send that first letter denying your claim or cutting off your benefits if you were getting long-term disability benefits before, once that letter has been sent, your clock is running. You've got 2 years from that date. Whether you appeal once, twice, 3 times, or not at all, it's the same.
InYourCorner.ca is a great resource to find where you can catch our radio show that we've been doing for about 5 or 6 years now. In addition to that, your partner, of course, Lior, has the Employment Hour. We do that on radio, again, covering a similar topic. You guys have a lot of, cross-pollination between employment and disability law, and I know you guys work together in the same office, which is the whole point of having the firm in that structure. We take a lot of phone calls on that show, and I know a lot of them have to do with disability. So we'll get to a phone call from the Employment Hour. I know you want to comment on it, Sivan, and possibly you as well, James.
I worked for a company for 4 years. I went on short-term disability. At the end of the short-term disability, they denied long-term disability, even though I'm still in a lot of pain and unable to work regularly. Now I've got a severance letter. They basically disbanded the department I worked in.
Exactly.
It is so common, John, and you're right. That's why we have employment lawyers and disability lawyers, because in fact, a lot of people who are disabled then have problems with their employers. Now, this gentleman who had called is dealing with 2 problems. Number one, he was wrongfully denied a claim by the insurance company, so we need to deal with that, which we can. And he is also being offered severance, in which case Lior and his team would be helping him. And here's the thing, not only can we help you with both of these things, with the insurance aspect and as well as the employment, the severance, but it's important, in my view, that it's the same group of lawyers or the same office that deals with both, because there is an effect on the insurance claim. Whatever happens with your severance, there's going to be an effect on your insurance claim. And let me explain how that happens. Your insurance policy, long-term disability insurance policy, contains a provision or provisions that say that if you get income from other sources, such as severance, the insurance company gets a credit for that. Now, different policies that say different things, and we oftentimes we always look at the policy, and oftentimes we see some small differences in policies. But generally speaking, if you are let go from your job and you have a valid disability claim, even if that disability claim was not approved and we have to fight it, we have to deal with both of these issues at the same time. If we don't deal with them at the same time, you are at a risk of getting less money at the end of the day, cumulatively. So I'm not going to get into the minutiae and the actual details of what happens with the severance and how we structure it. Suffice it to say that we can help on both fronts, and if you only deal with one as opposed to both at the same time, you could end up with less money at the end of the day in your pocket.
And the insurance company, James, is allowed to do this, so you're not double dipping. If your insurance or if your disability is $2,000 a month, then you're getting $1,000 a month severance. They're going to subtract $1,000 just to balance it out to the 2, right? Is that basically how it works?
Yeah, that's basically right, John. So it's absolutely critical that the lawyer that you have, either for employment or for disability, understands how the other works.
Right.
If you don't have that understanding, you're not going to be able to provide a full. You're not going to be able to provide the proper advice to your client, and they're going to be worse off because of it. You know, you need to make sure that you're covering all of the bases on both sides.
All under one roof, by the way.
Yeah, and John, you know what? Just on that point, I want to raise something. I have seen something that has really disturbed me, which is this. Employment lawyers out there are not versed necessarily in long-term disability law. And so what's happened, what I have seen happen, is a gentleman like the one who just called goes to an employment lawyer, gets his severance, and signs a release. And that release contains language that potentially makes it problematic for him to then go after the insurance company for the long-term disability claim. Again, not in every instance, every case is distinct, but it's very, very important that if you're dealing with long-term disability, a denial or a cutoff, and at the same time you have an employment issue, that you go to an office that has both disability lawyers and employment lawyers. If you don't, it's at your own peril. And that's exactly what we see at our office. And again, whenever we see a case like this, immediately, we have a lawyer from the disability side and the employment side talking amongst themselves so that the right hand knows what the left hand is doing.
And that continues all the way through the process.
Yes.
Right. Makes sense, right? And plus, you don't have to go down the street to a different lawyer. There's miscommunication going on. That's not a factor with you guys.
Their job is to maximize the amount of money that the individual gets in their pocket.
Right.
That's the objective.
Appealing the disability denial, we've touched on it. We're going to get into the top 3 reasons why you should never do that. Trust me, stick around for this. 1-833 in your corner, and inyourcorner.ca is a way to reach out as well. Lots more In Your Corners on the way. Stick around.
You lost your job. They only gave you 2 weeks of severance per year worked. But where can you find out what you're really owed?
I'm going to severancepaycalculator.com.
Find out how much you're owed right now. Severancepaycalculator.com.
You've been denied long-term disability. You think you're powerless, but you have a lot more power than you think. I'll tell you a secret. It's a numbers game for the insurance company. They're betting on you walking away from money that they owe you. Don't make that mistake. We resolve disability claims all the time. We force insurers to pay what they owe. We're in your corner.
Call Sivan and his team, 1-833 in your corner, or go to inyourcorner.ca. You lost your job. They said they had a good reason, but you think you've been wrongfully dismissed. Now what are you going to do?
I'm going to employmentlawyer.ca.
Always check with the employment lawyer first at employmentlawyer.ca.
And welcome back to In Your Corner, 1-833 in your corner, or help at inyourcorner.ca. The top 3 reasons why you should never appeal a denial claim. We'll get to that. First, I want to get to an email. Janice wrote in, guys, says, when you take on a long-term disability case, does your client need to continue communicating with the adjuster? In other words, who communicates with the adjuster once you become a disability person's lawyer?
Well, Janice, thanks for writing in. That's a great question, and it's a great question because I get it all the time from virtually every client that I talk to. They want to know what's going to happen going forward, and do they have to keep dealing with their insurance company and with this adjuster that is making their life difficult. And it's understandable because the people that we talk to are under an awful lot of stress. You know, if they're looking to get disability insurance, it's because they have a health issue that's causing stress. They have, you know, an employment situation that they have to deal with. They're not at work, they're not able to work, so that's causing them stress. They don't have money coming in, so there's financial stress there too. And now they have conflict with their insurance company. So those are a lot of different areas of stress, and they're looking to relieve some of that as quickly as possible. So the good news, Janice, is that as soon as we are retained, from the moment we are retained that day, we will contact the insurance company, and from that point forward, you're not going to have to deal with the insurance company again. All communications from the point we are retained going forward will come through our office, which is great because it means that from that point onward, your focus is going to be on your recovery, on your health. So as soon as we are retained, you don't have to deal with them anymore.
Is that by choice, or the insurance company has no choice, and now that you're involved, they have to go through you?
They have no choice.
Wow.
That's the law. They have to do it. And I tell you, John, I've had cases where individuals were just distraught. And after the consultation we've had with them, all they could remember was not everything I said to them about what they're owed and what we can get for them from the insurance company, but the fact that they don't have to deal with the adjuster.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you something else. I've had cases where the person was telling me about how the adjuster was dealing with them in such an aggressive way, and they felt that they were being bullied. And, you know, I'm not talking about people who are very thin-skinned. I'm talking about people who have had very tough lives, and yet they're having these adjusters, some of them, not all of them, but some of them, who are just acting very inappropriately and aggressively. I'll tell you, I love nothing more than getting an adjuster like that then I have to communicate with. And I'll tell you, John, they very quickly turn from lion to sheep, okay? And as soon as we start a legal claim, that adjuster is no longer involved in the actual,
right?
in the actual legal claim process. There is a different adjuster who's tasked with shutting the claim down. So very important to understand, as soon as we get involved, you're no longer dealing with this adjuster.
Again, to reach out through email like Janice just did, help@inyourcorner.ca or 1-833-IN-YOUR-CORNER is the phone number as well. As mentioned and promised, top 3 reasons why you should not appeal a disability claim denial. Guys, I know you're chomping at the bit to get at these. Number 1, and we kind of touched on this already, appeals rarely work.
So let me start with John, because James and I have actually had a discussion about this. I don't have any hard numbers to tell you that you are right or that you are wrong. I can only talk anecdotally. And I can tell you that in my experience, and I've tried to help people, when I first started helping people with disability claims, with long-term disability claims, I've tried to help people appeal. And I have just been struck by how many times these appeals that I had tried to help people with were rejected for absolutely no good reason. So from that, I surmised, again, based on my own experience, James can speak to his own experience, other lawyers, I think, will tell you something similar, people who do what we do, is that these appeals, for the most part, don't work. Go ahead. No, go ahead.
So really the critical part of this is that when you appeal, you are allowing the insurance company to maintain control over the process. And that is a mistake. Right. You know, as soon as you've made the application, that's the only obligation that you have to do in order to apply for your benefits. Once you've applied, if they approve, great. If they deny, you're not required to appeal at all. At all. Not once, not twice, not 3 times. You don't have to appeal at all. When you appeal, you're saying to the insurance company, hey, you've already denied my claim, but here, why don't you do it again? I'm going to give you the power to decide again. Don't do it. Why give them that power? You don't have to. And once you take that power away, it becomes a very different situation.
Do people assume they have to appeal? They say, oh, I have to appeal. They've told me to appeal.
Absolutely. You know, when they are denied benefits or cut off benefits, they're invariably going to be sent a letter. And in that letter, it's going to seem as though the next step, the obvious next step is, oh, well, you have an appeal and you have to do it in a certain number of days. No, you do not have to appeal. Start a claim. Yeah. The sooner you start a claim, and I'm bleeding into number 2 here, but the sooner you start a claim, the sooner you're going to get it resolved.
John, before we move on to number 2, I just want to make a point here about what James said. These paragraphs and these letters that say that you have the ability to appeal, usually what I've seen is that they give you 30 days. So I then get phone calls, panicked phone calls from people saying, I only have 1 day left. I only have 2. Right. Your legal rights do not expire just because you missed that 30-day window, which as far as I'm concerned is useless anyways. Right. As soon as you know that you are denied, or as soon as you know you're going to be cut off benefits, that's when you call us. You don't waste any time, not only not doing this appeal, not even reading that paragraph as far as I'm concerned. Yeah.
1-833-IN-YOUR-CORNER is the number that Sivan just mentioned. We were talking about the top 3 reasons why you should not appeal a disability claim. Number 2, you did start on it, James, and that is appeals cause unnecessary, very unnecessary delay.
Yeah, I mean, as soon as you start a legal claim, you're starting the process towards resolution. If you appeal, you're just delaying that. And there's nobody who's applying for long-term disability benefits that wants the process to take any longer than it needs to. Ideally, your insurance company is going to pay your benefits. But if they're not going to do it, if they deny your claim or if they cut off your benefits, start the claim right away. As soon as you start the claim, you are moving forward towards that resolution date. It's my experience, and I think it's the same for you, Sivan. Typically, from the date we see a client in our office, it's usually a year, sometimes less than that, to resolution, and it can be a fair bit quicker. But if you appeal once, twice, 3 times, you're now a year and a half down the road, then you're starting the process from that point once you start the legal claim. All you're doing when you appeal and you take up that time is you're delaying the resolution.
It just seems like a silly process for the insurance company to put forth. I mean, it's like going to a bank, getting denied for a mortgage, turning back around and going right back into the same bank asking for another mortgage. They're not going to give it to you.
Well, let me give you the view from the other side, okay? Because again, I used to do defense work for insurance companies, not for long-term disability, right, but for insurance companies. And if I'm the insurance company and I'm thinking, okay, if this person appeals and then gets denied, appeals again, gets denied, half a year passes, another year passes, another 6 months, whatever it is, the longer the time passes, it's a war of attrition. The more chance there is that these individuals will walk away.
Yeah, they're going to give up.
They're going to give up. Yeah. It's literally a numbers game. And it makes sense if you think about it, because if you have 10 claims and you're denying all 10, chances are, if I'm the insurance company, I'm hoping that 9 out of those 10 claimants will walk away from money that is owed to them. Right.
You know,
Not money that they simply are.
It's not a lottery.
It's not a lottery. It's money that's owed to them. Premiums were paid for these policies.
Right.
It's the word appeal is also meant to make it sound very official.
Yeah.
So, oh well, I've had an appeal and it was denied. I guess there's nothing I can do. What if you called it a do-over? I mean, really, that's all it really is. You're giving the insurance company a do-over.
Yeah.
What difference does it make?
Yeah.
They've already made their decision. The sooner you start, the sooner it gets resolved.
Number 3 of the top 3 reasons why you should not appeal a disability claim denial. Appeals can make you miss. There are strict deadlines for filing a legal claim. The good stuff.
Yeah, and that's exactly what James and I have been talking about, which is that both in British Columbia and in Ontario, you have 2 years to start a legal claim, not an appeal, a legal claim from the date you were first denied or from when you were cut off. If you miss that deadline, that's not to say that never ever can you pursue your entitlements from the insurance company, but you know what? A problem, if you had a small problem before, now you have a mountain of a problem. You don't want to be in that position. You don't want to miss that 2-year limitation period. And frankly, there's no reason for you to wait for 2 years. There's zero reason. And I've seen people coming to me who have gone to other lawyers, and those lawyers have tried to do the appeals process, right, and have dragged on the process. And I've actually spoken to people who had missed those limitation periods even while they had a lawyer that was trying to help them, because that lawyer did not understand that the limitation period does not reset once you do an appeal or a second appeal or a third appeal. So you have to be very careful. That's why we say, as soon as you know you are denied a claim, a long-term disability claim, or if you were told you're going to be cut off, come to us now. Call us now. Let us talk to you now. And remember, it doesn't cost anything to talk to us, to get this information.
1-833 In Your Corner is that number. Help at inyourcorner.ca for an email as well. Coming up, how to stop the insurance company from cutting you off your LTD. That and lots more are on the way. Is on the way on In Your Corner. Stick around.
You thought you had a secure job. You didn't see it coming. Now what do?
I'm going to employmentlawyer.ca.
Always check with the employment lawyer first at employmentlawyer.ca.
Insurance companies deny long-term disability claims all the time. They give lots of excuses. Don't give up. I've seen it all. They've ignored your doctors, they've ignored you. You're angry and you're frustrated. But there's hope. We resolve disability claims all the time. We force insurers to pay what they owe. We're in your corner.
Call Sivan and his team, 1-833 In Your Corner, or go to inyourcorner.ca. You lost your job. They said they had a good reason, but you think you've been wrongfully dismissed. Now what are you going to do?
I'm going to employmentlawyer.ca.
Always check with the employment lawyer first at employmentlawyer.ca.
And welcome back to In Your Corner, inyourcorner.ca or 1-833 In Your Corner to reach out, get a hold of James or Sivan. That'll be another resource, by the way, is mydisabilityquestions.com. We've been talking about and using this for several years on the radio show. Guys, I want to read one to you and get your opinions and feedback on this. Again, mydisabilityquestions.com if you want to go to that website. It says, I'm 48 years old and applied for LTD and was denied last week because of insufficient medical documentation. What does that mean? My doctors confirmed that I can't work because of a back condition, and I'm scheduled for back surgery later this year. Should I wait to do the surgery before appealing that decision?
So I see this sort of language all the time. On virtually every denial letter, there's language that says that there's insufficient medical documentation. And that is really just a catch-all. It's vague, and it's purposefully vague.
Right. They
They are purposefully not trying to tell you or not letting you know what it is that you could do to satisfy whatever it is that they need. So, this particular person who's written into mydisabilityquestions.com, they've told us, they are scheduled for back surgery and that their treating doctors have confirmed that they can't work. In that situation, if you're scheduled for surgery and your treating doctors are saying you can't work, you're going to be entitled to receive long-term disability benefits. That's more than sufficient. So as long as your insurance company has the clinical notes and records from those treating doctors that are saying you need back surgery, that are saying you can't go back to work, I don't really see any basis that they could support their denial on.
John, the only thing that I will add, I agree with everything James said, is that one of the things that I had found over the years that happens when insurance companies send you a denial letter with this kind of language, or really any language that makes you question yourself, is that you are thinking to yourself, am I in the wrong? You're feeling like you are asking for something that you shouldn't be asking for.
Yeah.
No, these are policies that are there to protect you. These insurance companies are there to make a profit. Those two interests don't necessarily align. Insurance companies have an obligation towards you. So when you know you are disabled, and when your doctors are telling you you are disabled, and the insurance company says, no, we simply disagree, and there's no good reason for that, and we can tell you, by the way, if it's a good reason or not, you should challenge them. And this is exactly what we do. And we do it day in and day out successfully.
Quickly, before we move on to an email, can the insurance company ask you to go see one of their doctors?
Sure.
They can do that?
Sure, especially if it's about an assessment. That's
Okay.
perfectly reasonable.
Right.
You want to be careful about it, and you want to make sure that it's an appropriate doctor. Their expertise fits whatever it is your disability is. But there's no issue with them saying you should see this particular doctor for an assessment. For treatment, that can be a different story,
Okay.
and that's something that we'll deal with later on. But basically, if you have someone that's treating you that you like, that is providing you with good service, that they're qualified, they're reputable, your insurance company doesn't have a right to say no, you can't see this person anymore. You have to see this person. You're entitled to choose your own service provider.
Email is help@inyourcorner.ca. We'll get to Leslie. Writes in, says, I really like your show. I've been watching for a few weeks. My brother was in a car crash 2 months ago. He tried to go on LTD, long-term disability, but was denied. We have a lawyer, but can't get a hold of him, and we're confused by the whole process. There's no money coming in, and my brother can't go back to his old job at this point. What do we do?
John, this is one of those things that really makes me angry. When somebody hires a lawyer to help them, and then that lawyer is a no-show, you can never get a hold of them, and they don't explain anything to you. And that's exactly not what we do at the office. In fact, I can tell you, James will echo that we take it very seriously, this whole process of educating the individual, and that's what we're doing the show and the radio show as well. So, for this person that had been, that emailed us here, we deal with car accidents. And by the way, remember how at the beginning I said that if you're let go from your job and you're fighting an LTD denial, you want to have lawyers that deal with all sides? Same thing with this. If you're in a car accident, you're going to be entitled to certain benefits. If it's in British Columbia, then it's ICBC. If it's here, it's going to be from your own insurance company. You may have a claim for compensation against whoever was responsible for the accident. And then, of course, there is the LTD claim here. So it's very, very important to understand, that there is an interplay between all of these insurance companies, and this is exactly what we do. And, we will go through the process, we'll explain everything to you. And frankly, if you are dealing with a lawyer that's being non-responsive, you should communicate to them in writing, telling them, here are my expectations. Here's what I want to know. And if you feel that they're not giving you the service that you hired them for, as far as I'm concerned, you should leave them. That should be a last resort, but you should do that because at the end of the day, it's your case. So with this individual here, we can help both with the LTD claim and the car accident claim, and it's extremely important, John, to do those both at the same time.
James, quickly, that's one thing I was going to ask, and that's you are well within your rights at that point if you're completely frustrated to jump ship and get to a lawyer who's actually going to work for you.
Sure, but I think it's important that that Leslie goes back, or that Leslie makes sure that her brother's lawyer is aware of what his issues are. That's the first step, and you want to make sure that you give that person a legitimate chance. It troubles me that it's been 2 months and her brother isn't receiving anything right now. In Ontario, certainly within 2 months, you should be receiving accident benefits if you've been in a car accident.
Right.
But that could be, the insurance company delaying. But in any case, the big issue here is the lack of communication. So that has to be identified with the lawyer right away. And the expectations, as Sivan said, the expectations have to be set. You have to tell your lawyer, this is what I expect. I need to know what's going on. It isn't something that our clients need to tell us. It's something that we do as a matter of course.
Right.
But that should be the way that it works.
Good show today, guys. Lots more to get through in the weeks to come, so stick around if you want to reach out. Now that we're done for this particular half hour, there's a bunch of different ways. 1-833 in your corner. Start with the phone number. help@inyourcorner.ca for email. There's also mydisabilityquestions.com. Check out that drop-down menu. And of course, inyourcorner.ca. You will find show notes, schedule, where to find radio shows as we continue on into 2019. A couple weeks in and loving it. In Your Corner. We're back again next time. Thanks for hanging around.